There's been a lot of discussion in the market about the decline in visitation and revenue in the Las Vegas area, particularly in the Las Vegas Strip. And a lot of the stocks that are involved in that area, MGM Resorts, Caesars Resorts, you have Boyd, Wynn, Penn National, all of these companies are negatively impacted, especially by the sentiment in the market. But what's the truth? What is really going on with the numbers? Are these companies seeing a decline in revenue, or is this just a better headline than the real story? I want to dig into the raw data and show you exactly where you can find the exact numbers coming out of Las Vegas. They're a little bit delayed, so we basically have summer numbers right now, but it'll really tell the truth about what's going on and hopefully break through that narrative so investors can invest with a clear head in the Las Vegas area. My name is Travis Hoyam. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing, and please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. Now, I have been covering the Las Vegas area for over 15 years at this point. And one of the first places I always go is this table right here. This is from the Nevada Gaming Control Board. They publish this every single month. It's a little bit delayed. So right now, we're in the middle of September. We only have numbers that go through the end of July. But this gives you at least an idea of what was happening at the beginning of the third quarter. So are we seeing a huge decline like we're seeing in a lot of the headlines? The answer is not really. The July numbers for 2025 were actually, for total gaming, was actually up 5.6%. Now, there's a lot of volatility in all the different games. You can see, you can go through each of these here. On the top, you have all the different table games. So the biggest game as far as the amount won is actually going to be Baccarat. So if you are not familiar with the gaming business, that is by far the biggest game in Macau, but it's also the biggest game in the Las Vegas Strip. And even though you may not actually see Baccarat tables, those high rollers are oftentimes kind of in private rooms betting millions and millions of dollars. So that's where most of the money is made. That was actually the reason that a lot of that gaming win was up 79% in the month. There's volatility in the other areas. So blackjack was down 28%. That's pretty notable. Slot machines were also down. But again, the numbers are kind of volatile. So the ones that are actually called out all declined, but multi-denominational up 15%. So in total, you get slot machine win up 2.2%. But if you go to the 3-month numbers, which are in the middle, and the 12-month numbers, which are over here on the right, you take a little bit of that month-to-month volatility out of it, and you can see that the trends aren't terrible. 3 months, total gaming revenue up 0.8%. For the 12 months, revenue is down 1.19%. So maybe a little bit different than you may be hearing in the media that Las Vegas is collapsing. But that's not to say that everything is going well in Las Vegas. This is information from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. And this is data from June 2025. This is the latest data that they put out at this point. And you can see this is what has been making the rounds. Visitor volume down 11%. Convention attendance down 11%. Occupancy is down. Day rates are down. Revenue per average room is down. Nights occupied is down. But is this something that's been going on for 1 month, or is this a long-term trend? You can see some of these trends here, and they're not nearly as bad as you would think. You can see that June 2024 was actually a really strong month. June 2025, not quite as strong, but not awful when you look at a longer period of time on the Las Vegas Strip. If you come over here to the more detailed numbers, you got June right here, and then here is year to date. So again, this is going to be a little bit better information long term. Again, the trends aren't phenomenal. Visitation is down 7%. There's a number of reasons for that. The consumer, I think, is not particularly strong. That's one of the things that the market is the most worried about. And then you have all kinds of travel questions. Each of these companies has talked about Canada in particular being a challenge for visitation to the Las Vegas Strip. Average daily room rate down 5.5%. So again, these trends are not positive, but they're also not absolutely terrible. This is not revenue going to be down 10% on the Las Vegas Strip. This is kind of normal volatility that you see month to month or year to year. We are in a little bit weaker time than we were in 2023, in 2022, 2024. Those were pretty good times for the market and pretty good times for employment. People were out spending again. Las Vegas is coming kind of off a high. So I don't think we need to have super high expectations. And we may be getting to the point where some of these stocks are getting to be pretty good values. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. I'll start here with the one that I own. That's MGM Resorts. has basically gone nowhere year to date. If you look at the 1-year chart, down about 6%. Market cap for this company, just $9.5 billion. That's despite owning about half of the Las Vegas Strip. They've got 2 casinos in Macau, and they're also building another casino in Japan. So I think a lot of upside for MGM Resorts. Caesars, the trends have been a little bit worse, down 24%. Market cap is now just $5.3 billion. Over the past year, down 37%. A little bit different business. You don't have the exposure to Macau, also no exposure to Japan. This is basically a Las Vegas Strip and regional gaming business. And that's where you're going to see some of the pressure on their top and bottom line. Don't have some of those same cash flow businesses that MGM has. But Boyd Gaming actually doing pretty well, up 32% over the past year, $6.6 billion market cap. Penn National is more of a flat performance, down 4.3%. And the surprising one is Wynn Resorts. Wynn Resorts now has a $12.7 billion market cap. The biggest of these companies that I've talked about that have some exposure to the US. Wynn also has a ton of exposure to Macau, and they're also building a resort in the UAE. So different reasons that the stock is moving in the way that it is. Las Vegas is not really the driver of Wynn's business right now. Las Vegas Sands, despite the fact that it's the only company that has Las Vegas in its name, doesn't actually have any real exposure to Las Vegas. This is primarily an Asian casino company in Macau, primarily, and then they also have a resort in Singapore. So this one you can kind of push out if you're looking at the exposure to the Las Vegas Strip. But hopefully that's helpful in understanding what's going on in Las Vegas. I think there's some really good values. I own shares of MGM Resorts. I think you can argue that Caesars is also getting to be a pretty good value, especially when the Las Vegas Strip does start to recover. We have heard from management in those companies some of the things that people are complaining about, like expensive waters, like parking being too expensive. They're going to respond to that. These casino companies have agency. Things can change. They can dial up or dial down different things and make the experience better for users. But I think Las Vegas Strip is one of those destination areas that just isn't going anywhere. It's going to have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. But long term, this is an area where there's very little capital expenditure at this point. Most of those casinos are built. They're being depreciated. They're just cash flow machines. And so if you have a company that responsibly reinvests that money, either in buying back stock, paying out dividends, or in building new properties that can have really high returns, like I think we're going to see with MGM in Japan, that's really where the opportunity lies. So Las Vegas, not an area that I'm shying away from right now. I don't think the numbers are nearly as bad as a lot of people think. Potentially in for a down year or two, but Las Vegas will return like it always does. But let me know what you think about these stocks in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.